A man is chopping wood in the forest when he suddenly sees a stranger approaching with ill intent. Instinctively, he grips his axe tightly and runs desperately towards the small cabin deep in the woods. Sure enough, the strange man behind him comes after him with a gun, and Lalo opens the door and cautiously enters to take a look. After all, this is someone else's territory. Soon, Casper knocks Lalo to the ground with an axe.
Who are you? Who are you? Eduardo Salamanca.
Lalo pleads in pain and makes it clear why he's here. He just wants to ask what kind of work they're doing for Gus. Casper questions how Lalo found him. Lalo mentions that he found him through Werner's wife. And then Lalo slowly pulls out the name tag of a gift Casper had given Werner. Just as Casper moves closer to take a better look, Lalo seizes the opportunity and launches a counterattack. The tables turn instantly, showcasing the difference between an ordinary person and a professional killer. Lalo unties his belt, instructing Casper to bind his leg because he hasn't gotten the answers he needs and can't let Casper bleed to death. Meanwhile, Gus is anxious about the lurking Lalo, so much so that he doesn't dare remove his bulletproof vest or ankle gun even while working at the chicken restaurant. Seeing his employees overwhelmed, Gus personally takes orders for customers. However, while recommending the latest product, his thoughts drift to his underground project. Perhaps Lalo's long absence is due to him gathering evidence against him. This realization heightens Gus's anxiety. Despite the heavy security, Gus cannot sleep soundly. To prevent any sudden incidents, Gus instructs Mike to take him to the underground base. Mike assures him that the area is completely sealed off with concrete and that no one can get in. If Gus is worried, Mike can arrange for additional security. Seeing Gus's silence, Mike tactfully goes outside to wait. Once Mike leaves, Gus begins to familiarize himself with the layout. He notes the connection point of the temporary lighting and then releases the safety clip, placing it on the ground. Next, he measures the distance from the electrical connector to the excavator with precise steps. He squats down, touches the track of the excavator, and then places the gun from his ankle into it. Gus has figured out that Lalo is looking for this lab, and the two of them are likely to confront each other here. This gun is his key to turning the tables. One has to admit, Gus's sixth sense is truly remarkable. At this moment, Lalo is already positioned in the sewer, targeting Gus's underground lab disguised as a laundry room. To prove to his boss what Gus is secretly up to, Lalo even records a video as evidence.
Y le puedo decir lo que está allá adentro. Un hoyo grande, donde un ingeniero alemán, Werner Ziegler, diseñó el lugar perfecto para esconder el...
Lalo's actions were prompted by Hector's warning, so he decides to inform his uncle about tonight's operation. However, just as the call connects, a vigilant Lalo hears a faint buzzing sound of electrical interference. He realizes that Hector's phone is being monitored by Gus and quickly hangs up. At this point, Lalo's anger was so intense that he picked up a stool and threw it to vent his anger. After calming down, Lalo decides to call back. This time, Lalo intentionally tells Hector that he can't find any evidence and will have to resort to his original plan of direct retaliation. Hearing this, Hector frantically rings his bell in protest, unaware that this is a false message Lalo wants Gus to overhear. Sure enough, as soon as the call ends, Gus's men start reacting. Mike is the first to prepare to report to the boss. At that moment, Gus is at a school doing a charity event. Seeing Mike arrive suddenly, Gus realizes something urgent must have happened and sets aside his work. Mike plays the recording of Lalo's conversation with Hector and advises Gus to wrap up the event and return to his safe house immediately. The trap for Lalo is already set. They just need him to take the bait. On the other side, Kim finds a powerful excuse to get back at Howard. Her plan is to undermine Howard's reputation with his partners, forcing an early settlement of the Sandpiper Crossing case. This way, Jimmy can secure a large settlement to support their so-called dreams. Anything Kim wants to do, Jimmy fully supports. Messing with people is Jimmy's forte, and combined with Kim's cleverness, they devise a meticulous plan spanning several weeks. Their first step is to sow seeds of doubt. Jean stood guard outside while Jimmy sneaked into the locker room to plant contraband and frame Howard. The next step was to cleverly use the Kettlemans to deepen Clifford's suspicions about Howard. The third step is for Clifford to witness it firsthand. Kim finds an excuse to chat with Clifford while Jimmy steals Howard's car and throws a prostitute out of it right in front of Clifford. Now, Howard's image with his partners is completely shattered. Although there were minor hiccups along the way, Jimmy's clever handling ensured everything went smoothly. The fourth step is to use a private detective to sow discord between Howard, so that Howard thought he had the upper hand and caught Jimmy's hand. Little does Howard know, this is exactly what Jimmy wants. The fifth step is for Kim to gather information about Judge Casimiro from her former assistant. With the intel in hand, the sixth step is to fake a photo with Casimiro, spreading rumors of Saul bribing the judge to tarnish Casimiro's image in Howard's eyes, leading him to make poor decisions. Step 7 involved drugging Howard to dilate his pupils, creating a false impression, to test the drug's effects. Jimmy tries it himself. This time, when they visited the Caldera house to buy contraband, they encountered another surprise, the little black book in Caldera's possession. Caldera uses this notebook to access various underground resources but wants to abandon this business to focus on his veterinary practice. Jimmy thinks Caldera is foolish for giving up such a lucrative business. Jimmy is interested in taking over. In Breaking Bad, the contact that Walter and Jesse used to flee, Ed, is a resource that Saul acquired from Caldera. In the entire Breaking Bad universe, Caldera is the smartest because he knows when to quit and understands what he truly wants. With the miracle drug in hand, Jimmy and Kim are ready for action. They are having so much fun that the night before the operation, they even celebrate early outside the HHM law firm building. The next day, Jimmy spends a fortune on a bottle of sapphire blue wine. It's the same wine they drank during their first con, holding significant meaning for both Jimmy and Kim. However, as Jimmy prepares to pay, he notices a discrepancy between Casimiro and the actor in their staged photo. This discovery infuriates Jimmy, with their plan about to culminate. This mishap could ruin everything. Jimmy quickly calls Kim, urging her to see the bright side. If he hadn't spotted the flaw, their entire plan would have collapsed. Jimmy suggested changing the date of the final battle. Kim, enraged, ignores Jimmy's advice, abandons her current work, and rushes back to fix the issue.
It happens today.
With no other choice, Jimmy quickly finds the actor they previously used. Without an appointment, he has to offer more money to get him to leave, including 3 college students currently in class. Kim arrives to help. After considerable effort, they finally capture the photo they need. While developing the photo, Jimmy and Kim watch intently. Once the photo is ready, they quickly apply a mysterious substance to it. Jimmy then sprinted 100 meters to hand over the freshly finished photos to the private detective's hands. This speed, even professional detectives are impressed by the body. Of course, the detective also lived up to his promise. He was on time to hand over the photos that Jimmy had just taken to Howard. During the formal meeting, Jimmy impersonates a sandpiper crossing case client to gain access to the conference call. This allows him to listen in live. When Howard sees the presiding judge for the first time, he's shocked. Isn't this the same judge who received Jimmy's bribe this morning? Enraged, Howard publicly lashes out at Casimiro. To back up his accusations, Howard asks his assistant to bring the photos he just received from the private investigator. However, he finds the photos have been swapped, combined with the special drug that dilates his pupils. This leads directly to Howard's breakdown. Howard realizes he's been outsmarted by Jimmy but can't find evidence. Just like Chuck couldn't before, he tries to explain to his partner Clifford, but it's too late. The opposing legal team seizes the advantage due to this turn of events. Under pressure, Clifford has no choice but to immediately settle the sandpiper crossing case. Due to Jimmy and Kim's scheming, Howard's situation becomes a complete mess. Meanwhile, Jimmy and Kim, listening to their victory, are engaged in unspeakable activities on the sofa. Though Howard lacks concrete proof, he knows Jimmy and Kim are behind this, so he confronts them at their home that night. Facing Howard's sarcasm, Jimmy and Kim feign ignorance. Howard can't understand what drove them to do this. Was it because he sided with Chuck or sent Kim to the cornfield to review documents? Or perhaps they envied his good fortune, inheriting a successful law firm from his father. Jimmy and Kim continue their act. Howard admits he's at a low point in his life, dealing with debt, depression, and a broken marriage, but insists he'll get through it. He then offers a candid evaluation of Jimmy and Kim.
You two are soulless. Jimmy, you can't help yourself. Chuck knew it. You were born that way. But you, one of the smartest and most promising human beings I've ever known. And this is the life you choose. You're perfect for each other. Screw the money, you did it for fun. You get off on it. You're like Leopold and Loeb, two sociopaths.
All right, that's enough.
Oh, you know it's true. You just have the guts to admit it.
Great, now you need to go.
I'm going to make it clear to everyone, because I'm going to dedicate my life to making sure that everybody knows the truth.
Just as Howard is getting into his speech, the candlelight flickers, and Jimmy clings to Kim in terror. To their utter shock, Lalo suddenly appears, because Lalo saw a cockroach in the sewer, which reminded him of Jimmy. Unfortunately, there was one more person on the scene who shouldn't have been there.
I just need to talk to my lawyers.
Oh, is that right? You want some advice? Find better lawyers.
Howard, please just turn around.
No. Take your time.
What's this about?
Lalo slowly draws his gun, and Jimmy and Kim realize the situation has spiraled out of control.
Please just tell us what you want.
I think I'm in the middle of something. There's really no need to...
Lalo shoots, intending to instill fear in Jimmy and Kim and prevent Howard from causing further complications, but this leaves the audience feeling deeply aggrieved by Howard's unjust demise.